um, if you may allow me, I can start because we have until only about 1 hour and 15 minutes because now it's 7:15. So I hope that I shall proceed. Yeah. Okay. If you can see that today's topic is about society, law and society. Um, I looked at all of you is actually um, third semester. So regarding the law and society, when we study law, we always think that something that we always look on it is about law itself. But many of us actually still thinking that well, there is a law, and yeah, that's it, and if we don't like it, we can always like break it and think that it's the human rights. The problem that I want to bring today is something that I don't want to give a conventional discussion, because I think that I want to give you a new perspective. For example, like why people always connect society and law, and why society always want to see protection from the law, and what actually law can give. In many of my lecture before, I always say that if you want to have a good and a balanced social justice, you need to have a good law. The good law is not the law um, that can make everyone satisfied with it, because in the justice to prevail justice, it's not as easy. We say, okay, we want to prevail justice, but actually the very challenges come when we want to show to the public that we actually done the justice. If I can recall it back, many of the corruption institution institution is actually come from police, judiciary body. So people quite lost interest or lost trust to these two bodies. Why? Because if you handle the criminal cases, normally we get all the informations and evidence and fact from the police before we pass it to the deputy public prosecutor. So if the police is actually not done well or do not have full investigation, the person might be innocent, but he being executed for something that he never done. I think in US there are so many cases like this, especially back in 90s, 1980s, 70s, and you see that many people already been jailed for 40 years, 37 years for the crime that they did not even did it. So I think this is something that I want to discuss with you. When you talk about the law in society, normally the intention for the parliament to enact or to have that kind of law to ensure all the societies, all the members of society respect it, and will make it part of the tools to bring, I can say, uh, the harmony, in the society. However, it is not easy as that also, because society is being balanced by the economics, and people are more talking about the economics rather than talking about the justice. Because especially I take it in this COVID time, many people losing their job. They are talking about how to put the food on the table rather than talking about, oh, I have to respect this kind of law, this kind of law. Whereas people will say, what? If you have a money, then everything will be done. And we saw it already in the court when someone that rich being involved in any crimes, there is always so many good lawyers behind because they have a money to pay. Despite we know it clearly, they done it. But when someone that's really don't have money to hire a good lawyer or using the government lawyers, you can see that nobody care about the case. So this is where you're talking about the justice and how law can give this kind of justice to the society. I just want to take an example in my country. Uh, the persons or the person who being remanded by the police, because when you're talking about remand, is just to detain them to get more information whether they did or not. Malaysia having a big serious problem because in the police custody during remand proceeding since year 2000. I think that is not small numbers, and we look at it that is a very serious number. So people are talking about the police brutality, police corruption, and also talking about that what's next. Because as you can see, there are so many cases that brought to the court, but at the end of it, they will be free. So society and a member of public was asked that why is like that? Why there is things can be done like that? And we not that mention about the corrupt public prosecutor that we got one case that when the drug special the task force the special task force from our police really followed this syndicate for almost 3 years, and they managed to arrest many of the members and also the drugs. And the drug is all account about 1 billion ringgit Malaysia. So for police, it's a very, very, I think, successful for past 4 years. They're following this international drug syndicate, and they make it a very huge successful by arrested so many of them. Unfortunately, when the trial begins, there is a dispute. But the numbers of the drugs, because the drug is like in a factory and they collect so many type of drugs, like they have marijuana, they got heroin, morphine, and other types of drugs. So suddenly, when one person being charged with a very lower drugs amount, and the police dispute that from the public prosecutor saying that we don't give this kind of amount, it's more. Why this has happened? Then when they go deeper, we found out that one of the syndicate's leaders, because they got many people involved, paid to the DPP to reduce the numbers of amounts, because the DPP can bring the charge sheet, and the charge sheet is from them. So if they don't charge accordingly, then the court would not going to prosecute the person accordingly too. So it's just based on the evidence that bring to the court, because Malaysian system is based on British common law. So we need to produce an evidence, because the court not going to find the evidence, but public prosecutor have to bring the evidence before the court can prosecute the person. So if the public prosecutor doesn't do their job, or they fail, or he or she fail to prove the case, then this people can, whoever been charged can be free from that kind of charge. So this is something that, especially when involved the drugs case, people will look at that case, especially when involve a very huge amount of drugs. So in this case, the Inspector General of Police quite confused, because for them, they did a very good job. So they need to get applause from the society, because their image not that good. So they need to build that kind of image. So when the public prosecutors being investigated by the anti-corruption body, they found it that he being paid about 1 million to do that. So this is where I said, what the society wants from law. If the people who enforcing the law is corrupt, so as if that we don't want to talk about it, because when we talk about it, we are talking about the justice. When you talk about law and society, we're talking about the justice that prevail for all of us. So this is the point that I want to bring, because I think day by day people getting confused whether we should prevail the law or we should educate our people to understand the law, because I think there are so many ways to look at it. Because in the society, people talking about money, people talking about how much money they can make, and to make their life more better. Because for me, if you fail to bring if you fail to bring uh, the peace and harmony and economic perspective for the people will get angry. And I think I take uh, Kuala Lumpur as one of the example. I think even in Jakarta, even more competitive. If you come to Kuala Lumpur and you don't have any qualification, you will end up nowhere. You will end up begging on streets, because a big city needs you to be talented, to be creative, and you need to have uh, education and also experience. So the problem is, what I see is, many people are come to the big city and think that they will get something from it, but actually they don't get anything. Many of them will fall or fallen down and end up doing vice activities. So this is something that I want to bring you, how far that actually the government understand the situation. Because if you look at my government, they are very happy to enact many laws, try to enforce this kind of laws to make sure people are following the laws and the rules. But I think at the end of the day, people don't even want to talk about it. People are talking more about, I want to get more richer. I want to protect my family. I want to ensure that I get so many other good things. So that's why for me is, this is a very critical situation when we're discussing about the society and the law and the society. Because if you look at it, what Lord Denning say in his book, um, law is a basic and cement of society, to show that if you don't have a law, a good law, a fair law, you're not going to give a justice to the people, because people need uh, to being protected with a law that give them a justice. Because we doing law, we enact the law because um, we want people to be protected from any abuse. That is the intention, the real intention. We don't enact the law just for certain people. However, um, many people manipulate law, especially for those who have money, because for them they can find the loopholes to gain more. I think one of this situation in Malaysia, where many people love to uh, explore the government forest. In many states in Malaysia, we have a 14 state in Malaysia, especially at the East Coast part like Sarawak, Sabah, also Pahang, Kelantan, and Terengganu. There is the area where many forests rather than the human being. So many people, they will clear the land, which is under the government. It's actually the government's land. They 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 clear it. They start to have durians. They start to plant ginger or tapioca and all that. So this thing happened for so many years, until one day people realize it and say, hey, can you do that? Because this is a government land. You just get freely income by that. Then you can see the action of these people. They know they did wrong. They cannot go and explore illegally the lands of a government, but they did. And it's about until 30 years. The most controversial, the Musangking plantation in Pahang, about 3 to 4 months before, they planted almost 30 years. I don't believe the government agency, for example, land office, doesn't realize it. They could realize it, because that is a government land and it's under their protection and their authority. So people are questioning about it, because the one that involved in this is a Chinese farmers. So you know that race is quite be very sensitive in Malaysia. So many Malay people say, then why is like that? You're supposed to protect the forest, and it's more worse. The forest is where we get the water treatment for the people to drink. So this is a very huge controversial. And when we have a deeper investigation, we find out that actually the land office also corrupt. The land office people is receiving like every month bribery, monthly bribery. So for 30 years, we're having this kind of corruptions, until lately we found it and the government closed the area. they really clear the area. They try to make sure that this area would not be explored again after 30 years. And these farmers, after 30 years, got a free, I can say, free access to the land and get the money some more, because they are planted musangking, and musangking is the durian type of musangking is very expensive, and they export it to China, to abroad. So they got 1 billion since 30 years ago, and they picketed, they show, they bring the banners, they say that how come for 30 years, yeah, for 30 years we explore the land and government cannot see it, because we also contribute to the country, because we produce musangking and we bring a good names to Malaysia. So actually it's not happened. They don't pay tax, because in Malaysia, if you have a land, you have to pay the land tax every year, and the land tax every year is belong to what property or what you plant on that land. If it's an empty land, it will be different. If it's a landed house, is different. If it's you have for orchard, it's a different. So we believe that for 30 years you escape to pay the tax, to pay the export tax and all that, and now you ask the government to compensate you. So some people say, hey, you need to compensate them, because the way that you don't prevent them by exploring the land for more than 30 years is to show that the government is concerned with their action. Yes, one part, yes, I agree, because 30 years, you know, not 3 days, not 3 months, not 3 years, 30 years, not 1 3, but 30. So how long that no one recognized that? How come that no one can, you know, notice that? They notice, they know, but they're corrupt. That's why when you're talking about the law and society, it's not going to be, you know, separate, because the law need to be prevailed by these people who are very come with a clean hands, and with a clean hand and a good heart. So if you have somebody that doing the enforcement of law, but they come with the dirty hands, which I think that they have their another intention and take a bribes, then where is the why is the law still there? The law is still there. The law is what you have it in the gazetted by the parliament and in the act, but the enforcement is so low and so ineffective, very inefficient. So there's no point to have law again. And I said that Malaysia have so many laws. If you go to see the act of Malaysia, you was like, wow, so many. Even we have we covered animals, we covered plants, we covered human beings, we covered economic, you name it. But you can question the implementation. That are very major challenges when you're talking about the law and the society. We're not talking about the law that passed by the government. The law passed by government come across past the AGC, the Attorney General Chambers, you know, but we're talking about how we actually look at the law that can give a protection and so in this 2% during COVID time, we are quite confused. Like for example, Malaysian government, we introduced one new law regarding COVID, which is to give more leeway for the people who in a contract, because many contract cannot be fulfilled during this. So we want to protect them, because not what their intention for not fulfill the promise in the contract. So we have also a punishment for people who don't want to go for quarantine, for people who are supposed to be house quarantine, but they go out. So we got so many things to deal with. That it's not a perfect law, but I agree that the government of Malaysia want to protect society at large. So they need to have that can make I can say can deal with it. Because if you see that we are still under the RMO, the restrict movement order, where since I think until 6th December, only 3 states free from COVID, but the cases are getting higher. Like for example, yesterday is 1,200 cases. It's not a good number for us. We want only 2 digit. We don't want 3 and 4 digit. But then it looks like it's very hard. So the government enforced that last month to prevent many court cases regarding contract, and how and where we can use force measure when it's come to the contract. So government are looking how to help the people also that having a problem with the banks, and also when they had lose the job, how come they pay. So government are try to give their best to the people, but definitely the government cannot make everyone happy. That is the common nature of human being. But I think my government are tried very best to ensure that all the people being affected by COVID get all the good things from the new laws. Back to the law and the society, in this kind of scenario, you should look that, is it an ineffective to have a new law? For example, like in your country, they still pass the, the job creation law, despite people protest on road, people protest in the social media, but the government still pass it at the parliament because the president believe that that job creation law can bring more benefit to the Indonesian people. I'm not going to comment, or I don't want to give my view on that, because it's the sovereignty of your country, and you as the Indonesian have a right to comment more. But I do believe that we have to take into account very seriously the consequences of each law that we pass during this pandemic, because maybe the government think that kind of way, but for the people in the long run it would not benefited them. That's what the people angry. I do believe it. Um, for example, like in Malaysia, many people applaud that act because many people being affected. Their business, the contractors, even the concession, all of these people being affected by the COVID-19. So they love to have this kind of law to ensure that there is no major cases can be bring to court just because one party cannot fulfill another contract. But they are more on being advised to have it at mediation center, so then they can mediate this issue rather than go to the court and waste the time and also money. So I think this is something that people should understand, and people should look why we need to have a balanced law, and we need to ensure that the law that being practiced in our country, it benefited people, and it cannot only give a leeway or specials to certain society members, especially for those who have money, because the people who have money, they have an intention to to run away from the responsibility because they believe they have money. So I can see that even one cases that been critiqued by many of criminal lawyers is one to a rich person wife, and she also is actually from the rich family and very well-known family in Malaysia. She's being accused killed her husband, a murder case. Murder case cannot be bail in Malaysia. There is already in the act, the criminal procedure act and also the penal code say you can't be bail when you're involved in a murder. But in her case, is somehow rather her lawyer play more on significant way by saying, yes, it's true, we don't have uh, any laws or any uh, other things that say you cannot be bailed, but based on the reason that she's a woman, she's not being accustomed with the life in the prison. She's from well-known family. The father is highly respected academician, and it's just a murder case. We're not sure whether she or anyone killed the husband. So the court allow her to be bailed 1 million ringgit, and she have to come to the police station near her house to report to the police that she's there. Her international passport being held by the court. But still, even the family managed to get 1 million and pay to the court as a guarantee. At the end of the day, she just her trial are not yet started. Almost 1 year that this thing happened, her trial are not started yet, and she's a free outside to go to enjoy with the kids, with the family members. For me, that is the huge mistake and unfairness that happened in my country, because she has the money, then she get that privilege, whereas the other people who involved in a murder case, normally they are foreign immigrants or lower class families or people who are just ordinary person, so they don't have money like that, so they are being in the police jail or in a prison jail until their case being called. And sometimes there is a case that being called for the trial just only after 3 to 4 years because of the backup of a case in Malaysia. And you know that you need to call the witness, and then you have to get other people witness that you need to cross-examination. So this is where we question about the justice. People are more prone and saying that, oh, you are the one who do it. And in her case, she's escaped because she can pay, the family paid 1 million as a guarantee for her, and she's free. Yes, I know she have a case. Yes, she might be hanged also if we found guilty. But for time being, she enjoy her life same as a people who have a freedom. Whereas 99.9% people like in her position do not have anything can do like that. So what actually law try to show to the society? Have a money, then you are free. Have money, at least you have got privilege, or what? So for me, this is where we have to look at it as a person, as a law student, must be very critical to look into this situation. Because is it the law is being produced, being amended to protect all, or to give speciality to certain group in the society? All right. And moreover, I do believe that we need to have a balance, balance meaning that, for example, like Malaysian Bar Council, they are always being criticized. They always being alert on any judgment that made by the court, especially High Court or Appellate Court, or also Federal Court, because this is where they see the competence of a judge. And many people now, even in Malaysia, we don't afraid of the contempt of court, because if your politician are being persecuted by court and you don't like that just because he's your leader, like for example like Najib Razak case, when he being feel guilty by the court, he definitely asked his lawyer to apply for the preview, so to review the judge execution. So until today he's still free. Until today he still have the police and the bodyguard that follow him as an ex-prime minister, despite how corrupt he can be. And he is still happy. He's still happy because he's not staying in the jail. Whereas the other people like him, if they're doing this kind of corruption, they have to stay in the jail. Because this is a big issue, big cases, but actually for these people, no. So this is something that I think we have to look at very carefully, because for me, you do like this is what actually you try to show. You try to show to people that this is the things that is wrong, is supposed not to be happen, and still the High Court are reviewing still the Appellate Court review his executions, and at this time being he's still free. So that's why people are now less trust in the court system in Malaysia, because for them, if you have a money, if you know your contact, then you easily will be free. But the people that for me, the things that I always look at it, that we don't need so much laws for the people, but we must enforce one or two laws, but give a significant effect to the society. And I think we should have more judges that can use their brain and look at the society today. Sometimes I feel that many judges do not have a heart when they're sitting on their bench. If we have a case that people are very poor and they have to steal, yes, you need to punish them, but have to understand that they have a family outside of that. The many problem that I see in Malaysia is uh, when you arrest and or catch someone and being found guilty, maybe he's not doing that, but because he doesn't have money, he doesn't have he doesn't have a good lawyers that defends him, so he been prosecuted and he been jailed. Family. What about the family that being left? Many of the situation that we're talking is about the family that being left by the mother or the husband that need to face their sentences in the jail. And I can say that many of the children also get involved in the vice activities because the parents are not around. And some of them have to be taken at a welfare house. And to make it worse, the welfare house also often for adoptions. And some take sisters, one family take the brothers, so they're being scattered. That is the worst part of it. This is, I think, the government, despite having laws that want to protect people, in other way, they forget that the people who are already being arrested or already been uh, uh, jail by because of the guiltiness that they do. I think that they forget to talk about the welfare of the family that left behind. So many cases we found out that the kids actually do not have father or mother around. There's a recent case in Malaysia because of drug cases and not hang, not death penalty, but for the rest of life he has to be in the jail. And the mother just been caught by police because of stealing. So they got six of them, and the eldest is 14 years old. So at this time there is no school, but supposed to be online school. But because they don't have a gadget, they don't have anything, they don't have parent. So the sisters just collecting the scrap metal and try to find the money for all the sisters and brothers. This is the part of the society that the government failed to look. We don't have any body that can look after the family of our prisoners. For them, we are just leave them like that. So that's why many of NGOs who take over So for me, I think this is the problem that we have in our country, that we want to enforce the law, but at the same time we fail to look. There is another problem: the poverty of the family that left behind when the head of the members or families, fathers or mothers, being jailed. And this is also part of the societies and law, because if you want to protect your society, you need to protect the security, the society's the society security, the feeling that you feel peace, the feeling that you feel you can move, the feel that you not feel scared. You know, you've been guaranteed your security. So this is one thing that I think I always demand the government to prove first how you can do this thing to the people. I'm not against any of the government projection for the people, but I think beside you want to settle the problem in a short time, you also have to look at the impact of a long time from the law that you've done. Maybe like in Indonesia case, the job creation law, I do believe that uh, your countries, your people knows what is going to be happen in the long run. But for the government, they might thinking this is will be the best for them, yeah, the best for them. So better if they pass the law during this time, at least they can bring as much as possible the job for the people. But what if after this COVID recover, yeah, will you see the impact from that loss? I'm sure yes. I think people angry because people are not being consulted. I think people angry because people ask for the feasibility studies, and I think also people want to know that whether there is any risk test or management that be done by the government to see when they enforce this law. I know the law is already passed at your parliament, so this is something that I think will make people not happy. And you have to understand that people have rights to choose the government, and people also have a right to kick out the government that they don't want. And in Malaysia, we prove it. we don't want the Barisan Nasional for 60 years, since independent, you are the government. So we kicked them out in 2018, and we give the opposition to uh, to govern the government. But I think since that they never been a government, it looks like they do not know how to handle the countries. So it's tend to be more drained. So, and now I think we are still want to get a balance of a government, but still we're not sure, because not many people also happy with this government. So this is the things that I do believe that why we should have the balance and very crystal clear about law and society, because law things that not can, it's just a law, but the society is a human being, the human being with lust, the human being with their determination. We're dealing with a human being. So when you know that you deal with human being, it's not easy. What else the government have to deal with? How many million population? You cannot fulfill everyone, but at least you can manage to get certain groups that you want to give. So this is the thing that for me very important. Yeah, very important. So I do believe that um, if you think that the purely law can protect the society, I don't believe that. I believe the law is actually can protect the society when you have a balanced law, and you have to prevail, and you have to need to commit to prevail justice among all without prejudice. Because as I said to you, only people with the rich country, people with rich money, people with the money, people rich can always escape these laws that we done. So are we actually try to tell the people that you have money, then you will always escape? You can always ask your lawyer to ask prevail your and make a review at the higher court about your execution. So it is actually one of a tactic for you not to go to jail, because living in jail is not heaven. So you still have to look at it very carefully. That's why in Malaysia, I'm not that so fancy when it's come to the new laws. I always like look at it, how far you can bring the society to this, and it's not like simple as that. So this is a thing that I do believe that we should look at it into a serious matter, and we should take also into account that we need to ensure that all the society members understand why the law are being enacted. And I know at this time it's not easy for you, to say that how it can be, because many people will come and say that it's easy for you to say because you are not in our shoes. We are lost our job, we lost everything, we lost the income, and we need, to do something for life. So I'm not surprised that many people also will do many illegal activities just to survive, not to be rich, but to survive. As you know that if you deal with drug in Malaysia, there is always a death penalty. Yeah. So the murder case and drugs case, there is no way that you can escape from the gallows. You have to, and many of the cases is very hard to be proved that you are not guilty, because actually you know what you do. But sometimes I just believe that between the humanity, law, moral, and religion, I always put a four. Yeah. How we choose that, how we can connect moral and religion, how we can connect a moral with the society, and how far we can connect laws with the society, with the moral, and with the religion. That is a very fundamentals and a very philosophical. So I do believe that by the end of it, we have to choose the best. Yeah, I do believe religion play a very major role how to be a human being, but in a perspective, in religious perspective. And people, when talk about religion, many people are, not so happy with it, or some people say, okay, we look at it, but we cannot get the 100% people can believe it with what you believe. So still for me, religion, the good religion is the religion that asks the people to do goods to each other. But if you're talking about the moral, if the people have a moral, they don't do any crimes. Moral are very much connected to the religion, but somehow rather many people use religion for their own benefit. Yeah, in Malaysia, there are so many like that. You portray yourself as a very good Muslim or a very good Christian, but actually you have other your own agenda. So many cases we found it like that. But I do believe as long that you have a clear views on what is law and what is the impact on the society, and you can see whether the law are actually done with fair by the court, you can always applause. But if you feel that this not get it, then I think as the law students and also the future lawyers, future solicitors, you need to raise up and voice the issue. We just need young people to voice up. You know, sometimes the old generation, they always look down to the young people and they say, you young people don't have an experience, you know nothing. Look at us, we eating salt earlier than you. So I cannot imagine. I'm not like that. I do believe that is the stage that we have to give a trust to the young people, especially in the leadership. So we got in many long way journey, we have a very good leader that we nurture. But it's very hard because the political parties is always want to use law as a their umbrella and the protection for themselves. But for the normal people like me, I want to see the law that protect everyone and give a fairness to everyone. And if the person doesn't have a good lawyer, the government must ensure that even though he or she very poor, she or he must get a lawyer when it's come to the court, especially the criminal courts. And of course, it's not the same value as you pay your own lawyers, but at least you must have someone that beside you wherever it is, you have to come and foot the trial for your case. So this is a very important message that I want to tell to all of you, that there is no point if you want to have a good law but it's not give a peace and also justice to the society. And the institutions of the like courts, DPP also must play a very important role, especially when you want to persecute people. Not just because they are poor, you can just simply these are poor people. So if they go to the jail, nobody cares. I think that is what the practice in my country is also, for so long. And this is why I do believe that we need more clean heart, good faith, and a clean hands person to deal with the society, and also regarding to handle the legal matters. But still, we're not going to fulfill anyone's or everyone's. But I do believe if we do good things to the people, sooner or later the society will know and will look at you. That's why to have the dignity and also integrity is a very vital and very pivotal, especially in the way of how the legal person or the uh, judges, DPP, police, public prosecutors, lawyers to handle themselves. So I think I want to open this topic to any of you that would like to ask a question, because we have about, I think, 33 minutes left. So I open it to all of you if you have any question.
Okay, Dr. Salawati, thank you very much for the class. I think it's very interesting and very bold statement, and also very, yeah, I know that it's like a very look a little bit provocative because it's regarding about have law and society. Instead that we talk about the justice itself in our society. So, is there any question for the students in here? If you have any question, please, maybe you can just like ask directly by your raised hand, or maybe either way that you can also via chat. Is there any question in here, class? Okay, maybe they're still thinking, doctor, of maybe I will kick off some question that maybe try to elaborate today for the topic. I think this topic today is very quite interesting in here. But in here, maybe I need your opinions in regarding about some point that maybe also happen in Malaysia and in Indonesia, also in our country. Doctor, what do you think about about regarding about the cases that may be facing off by the poor people in your country compared to our country? Maybe in our country, we can give you some highlight. for the poor people, I mean, like for the pro bono, sometimes the justice, I mean, the judge is it's have a stereotype that the cases is quite be long, very long, and sometimes the verdict and also the funniest is ended by like it's not injustice. In compare with also with rich people, if they have some cases or facing the cases, sometimes the cases is we call fast track cases, which is that end up with the verdict and also the decision of the made by the judge is also we call it doesn't make sense and also injustice also. But either way, that they good some like good benefit for the rich people. So they have so many stereotype that maybe they have some cases they have a different treatment by the judge to between about in verdict and also in the decision itself. Is that in your country in Malaysia also practicing or experiencing about such that action, or maybe this is stereotype? Thank you very much, doctor.
Okay, as I said to you, like from the eyes of a society, we know that when you are poor, you won't get actually the justice that is supposed to. This is the eyes of my people that we can see through the many Facebook, many social media, people talking about it. People talking about it because they look at based on the judgment. But to to accuse the judge are not competent also is very unfair, because why? The judges from the public prosecutors, and the public prosecutors get it from the police in my country. So the police, they got especially the investigations officers. So they will try to do whatever they can, and of course the report sometimes somehow rather actually maybe not that good. So it's just like, okay, who's this is just unemployed person, or this is from minorities people. So it's okay. Stereotype, for example, for Indian people, they are minority in Malaysia. Most of them are not highly educated. So these are the people that die many in the police custody. That's why many educated Indian are raised up the voice. Why our race? Why not Chinese? Why Malay? Why Indian? So because it's very linked to the socio-economy of the race also in Malaysia, because we are race country. So that's why I said, if you have a lots of money, you can always employ at any time lawyers, the good lawyers, the criminal lawyers to handle your case. But if you don't have, you rely on the government lawyers. And you know how many government lawyers? One government lawyers handle 1,000 public case for the crimes. So these lawyers, they need a rest. They are the people from the AGC, Attorney General Chambers, that's working with we call it Jabatan Bantuan Guaman, just a legal aid department. You can only pay 10 ringgit, but you must get the income below 3,000 ringgit Malaysia per month. So you can use this service. But if you have more than 3,000, you're not going. Whereas if I said to you, people below 10,000 also were not so much money to employ to use the good lawyers, because a good criminal lawyers, they will ask at least 15,000 ringgit Malaysia first to open the file. So that's why you said in many Malaysian cases, especially involved with drugs, the parents have to sell the land, sell the house just to save their children. So I do believe that everything is done because of who first look at that case. And then, of course, from is the police. If the police are the one who have integrity, have dignity, the case will be fair without prejudice when you are poor or not. But if the police are just like, it's okay, you just in certain race and you're poor, so you die. So that is the one who happened in my country without prejudice, and many human rights groups brought up the issue. So I think this is what happened in my country, because when you do not have a money, you cannot employ the good lawyers, and sometimes we are critics because one father have to store the mosque, and then just got 2 ringgit, he being punished by 2 years in People say, look at it, RM2 and you punish him, blah, blah. So people are very angry and outrageous about it. So for me, it's very important for us to know that government need to have a system that work for everyone. It's very hard, but at least you have to do it. So then we can have what we call fairness to everyone.
Okay, thank you, doctor. I think it's very strike point to answer my question. Thank you very much. Is there any student or class in here will be have addressed a question to Dr. Salawati? Class, hello. Maybe you can ask directly, or maybe via chat. Hello, class. Okay, they actually that they also have. Okay, there's no question actually in via chat. Okay, I
It's
don't know. Maybe this is the
morning,
trouble from the morning class, doctor. So yeah,
Monday morning, Pulong. It's
yeah,
the Monday morning is the always blues to them.
yes, Monday blues actually. Okay, is there any question maybe? If done, if they only done question, maybe I'll deliver one question again, doctor, to Dr. Salawati. After that, if there's no question from the student, maybe we can end closing this class today for today. Okay, doctor, actually that I still have one question regarding about have maybe the role model or the success story. By your opinion, as like a developed international law lecturers, is there any country that maybe to be the role of model or success story for the country that implemented justice both for the rich and the people in this world? Thank you very much.
Okay. If you see that this morning in Malaysia newspaper, the English one, they're talking about the best country to live, and it's won by the three Scandinavia country like Helsinki, Copenhagen, Oslo, and I do believe that actually these three country having almost the best model of the human rights. Because why? My own uncle was before this staying in Sweden. Okay, despite we Asian parents don't agree that they say, oh, you cannot even can beat your children, you cannot do this, cannot do that. It's very contrary with our culture because for us a slap is normal. So beat the children is normal because we brought up in that kind of idea. We don't call it child abuse. We say that we want to teach them to be a better person. Whereas in a Scandinavian country, that is a child abuse. Not to say bad about your child, you're very angry with your child. So that's child I think back to see that the way how the Sweden, Finland, and Norway doing well, because they give an economic perspective to the people. You see that the income is very high for everyone, but the tax also high, but it's balanced because you can go to the school free, you can go to university free because your parents pay so many tax, parking tax, petrol tax, everything is tax, but they give it back to the people. What make people in the third world country angry? We pay tax to the government, but what they give it back to us? They take it for themselves. They give to their cronies, the project. So that's why we say, where is what you're talking about laws? What laws is here? Because I think the best, if you ask me, I still say the Scandinavia country. Of course, there is two or three. Their culture are not suitable with us, but I think that is not the issue because every region have your own unique way. Maybe in terms of child, we said, wow, you cannot force your children to pray. We have a Malaysian couple that detained by the Swedish government, Swedish authority because they force their children to pray. They are Malay Muslim, yeah. It's a very huge, I think 2 years ago, and one of the father just I think punished the kids, asked them to fasting and to pray. So one of the kids about the age of 9 or 10 say that he's tired by fasting. I think that's normal comment when it's come to the Ramadan and say that I'm tired. But the teacher say, what? Your father forced you to fasting, which is a very, very big issue. So they took the children from the parents and they jailed the parents. So very hard for Malaysian government to help this this to our the parents, our citizen, because the law itself in Sweden is like we give protection for the children, for the refugees, for the disability. So these three countries, if you're talking about the role model for the human right, yes, for the disability people, for the refugees, asylum seekers, and for the children, and for the women. So you see, everyone get that feel the freedom. So you can get that things in other countries. That's why you see, at the end of the day, they still win as the best city to stay, despite their cost of living is high. But they're still, because they are balanced. That's why my idea is that.
Okay, okay, doctor. Thank you very much for the answer. Maybe also maybe I quoted by your statement also, because I read so many literature that in the North Europe, I think they have implemented such like good health opportunity and also good health, followed by also about have the good justice, because you know, if we can have choose the sample from the Iceland, they have no police there, which is that it means that there have no criminality there. So if they have no criminality, we can presume that they have they have a justice between the poor and also the rich. Okay, maybe I will confirm to the class. Is there any question, class, for Dr. Salawati? Okay, doctor, they have raised one question, maybe via chat. Maybe I will read for you. Good morning, Professor Salawati. The question is come from Georgie. He want to asking question related to the justice. Since you say that the justice is one of the problem in a court, because not all the people cannot afford to pay lawyers, so I want to ask, what can government do to reduce it? Thank you very much, doctor. Maybe you come to answer the question.
Okay, the government must have more public lawyers. I mean, public lawyers that who give a pro bonos. Like I said, that in Malaysia we have the department that provide free lawyers when the family below 3,000 ringgit Malaysia income per month can get help. They can get help not only for criminals cases, also for Sharia cases, and also for any other civil matters if we believe that they need to be helped. For me, the government must, you know, that as I said, one lawyer's 1,000 case. That's mean that is a good sign for government to add more officers, not to burden the already officers with so many cases, because he's not going to be productive to give any file, because you know that when you go to court you need a very good answer, a very good filing, a very good evidence. So government knows this thing for so long, but there is no action on any vacancies that offer more. For me, you have to, because we have many graduate, legal, especially law graduate. Then why don't you have the institutes? They have the institute near my university to training more competent legal officer. Then do it. The only problem is they don't have allocation because of economic matters. We don't have allocation to get more staff, That's not the reason. I think for too many years, when we ask government to have more manpowers, we cannot have so many manpowers. We don't have money to pay their salary, their pension, blah, blah, blah. Why don't give this kind of thing? When you want to prevail justice, don't give an excuse. If you're a good government, you find a way to provide more lawyers, more public lawyers to people to assess, and it make the more justice can be happen in the society. But that is not happen today. Seriously, it's not happen because the government don't want to be more proactive to reduce it. That is a problem.
Okay, that's it, doctor. Okay, thank you very much, doctor. Because due in the 9 a.m. we have a opening ceremony for the summer course, I think maybe better that we have closing this class. For the Dr. Salawati, if you want to join this the opening ceremony for today for the summer course, maybe we can share the link after this via WA. I think it's very glad that you can join in this opening ceremony also. So doctor, I think this is the end of the class or the section. Thank you very much. Or maybe the class is also thank you class for the active to participate in this class. So Dr. Salawati, see you again in another class. Thank you very much, doctor.
Okay, thank you. See you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, permission to leave, doctor. Thank you very much. Okay, class, don't forget to fill the presence links because they have also the presence. So after that, maybe you can also contact Mbak Debbie as for the academic. So I think this is the sound of the class. So we see you in another class. Thank you very much.